And we're back with some more Captain of Industry. And today I thought I'd go over like a little something that happened to me after our last episode, and that was the game clicked for me. It's like one of those times where things just fall into place. You figure out a game mechanic, and figuring out that game mechanic sort of like it causes a little domino effect in your brain. And you're like, oh, that's why that is, and that, yep. And what caused it was the mixer. Well, the mixer and a few comments. You see, the mixer here we were using on this old build to take some fertilizer, turn it into fertilizer level 2. But we were having some sulfur backup, and then we discovered, hey, we could just turn on the second recipe and then have the sulfur be disposed of by activating the second recipe. And then in the comments, someone pointed out that, no, you can actually get the third recipe as well, which is acid to work as... But getting the outputs to work was a little bit more convoluted. I figured it out in the end, but you can actually output acid and fertilizer out of the same mixer and store them in tanks. You do have to come along and turn off the acid before one of the tanks fills up, but never mind. The reason it caused a click, though, was maintenance and people. These are two of the costs you get for just about every building. Now, the people thing we'll come back to, but the maintenance thing is where the money is. This thing costs 2 maintenance every 60 seconds. That's... and when you look at the recipe time here, that's actually fairly frequently. 60 seconds is not a long time. How much is that maintenance costing us? Well, I went back to the calculator, did a bunch of calculations on how much this costs, and it's basically about... This thing alone costs zero point 0.2 iron every 60 seconds to keep running. That's a fair amount, actually. Not a lot of copper. Copper and rubber it uses a much smaller amount of. Let's just say 1 iron bar will buy you 9 maintenance every 60 seconds. 1 copper plate will buy you 40 maintenance, and 1 rubber will buy you 160. Now, of course, you have to even out each amount, so you'll be using a lot more iron per 60 seconds. That's pretty expensive, so that's when it clicked with me. You want to minimize the amount of buildings you have, so you're minimizing the amount of maintenance you're paying. That also minimizes the amount of people you're going to need. You kind of want to have all your buildings doing double duty. For example, we have this here. It's taking 6 people to run, and its only purpose is to burn light oil. This is over here, and it takes 6 people to run. Its only purpose is to burn heavy oil. I could combine the two. Since neither of them are going to be active full time, combining the two into one would actually save us a bunch of effort. This thing here is paused and doing nothing. We then have another 2 boilers over here, which is wasting another 6 people. We could rip out 3 of these boilers, save ourselves 18 people, and have it all doing the same job. But we don't. Well, I wasn't. I was being an idiot about it. Also, some things like, for example, this. This here has a maintenance cost, but no people cost. This thing has a people cost, but no maintenance cost. So there are exceptions to every rule, it seems. So looking at all of this monstrosity, I thought, well, okay, let's just start ripping things out, removing the buildings, reducing our maintenance costs. What would happen if we dumped this sour water? That is actually the big downside of switching over to this. You get all this sour water out of here. And then I decided to see what sour water cost us and how Unity was affected. Because Unity is one of those resources I'd been ignoring, and I was beginning to realize, no, it sort of clicked with me, that's actually a far more valuable resource than I gave it credit for. One of the things that you get that I found so bizarre at the start was you can boost a building by paying a flat amount of Unity per month, and it will double the throughput of the building. Doesn't actually give you any free resources, it just doubles how much it does. So this thing will move twice as fast, or, process twice as much resources. You don't get anything free, it just works like 2 buildings. And that's kind of made sense at this point, because that saves you on maintenance. You don't have to pay any more maintenance, you don't have to pay any more electricity, and you get double the productivity. That seems rather nice. Also, Unity here is based on, what is it? Mostly services. So more food, electricity, water. Health does help, but not nearly as much as all these other things. In fact, health, as far as I can see, there's going to be a disease thing here we'll have to worry about later. But for now, you can pretty much hammer them on the health front, and they don't seem to mind so much. And to sort of demonstrate that, let's dump a bunch of sour water. This is sour water here, and the way it works is it is really, really bad for the environment. If you look at it here, wastewater, which is what you get out of the basic oil refinement, gives you 60 per 60 water pollution. Sour water gives you 120, or it's twice as bad. And we're going to get 2 giant tanks of this stuff, and we're going to dump it into the ocean, because of course we are. Now, shortly we should be seeing some delicious flows out this end. Anyone? Ah, there we go. Now over here you'll notice we have landfill pollution and air pollution and nothing else. And that's going to stay that way until the end of the month, if I'm not mistaken. At the end of the month, it updates the pollution stats. And then that affects the health over here. But currently, they've got a little bit of population growth going on, and they're getting a little bit of health unity down here. Oh, here's -5 water pollution. Wonder why. Oof, that is a lot. Like, we are dumping out just gargantuan amounts of pollution. For context, this thing will spit out about 36 sour water per second. We're dumping 180 sour water per second. So this is hugely more than normal. How are we looking? Minus 15 water pollution. Let's fast forward another month. A month is 60 seconds. Every month in this game is 60 seconds, which is what all the production cycles are averaged out to if you click the 60 seconds box. So as you'll notice, yeah, that's not a lot of time. In fact, we are just at the end of the month, so we've gone up to minus 25 water pollution. You'll notice health is flatlined. We literally don't have good or bad health, which has done... Actually, everyone's still at plus 0.2 unity. Alright. Well, we'll fast forward it a little bit more. Let's just dump out everything we can and see how low we can drive it. I think we've emptied it. Yep. We've emptied it. We've gone to the next month. It's minus 35 water pollution, minus 9 health. That is... Well, it's going to affect our population growth. We're going to have a little bit of a population growth problem here. But that's fine. This was just for testing purposes. But here's the thing. How long does that last? And it turns out not very long. Let's fast forward it to the end of the month. At the end of the month, it won't get rid of all the water pollution damage, but it will get rid of a substantial quantity of it. And there we go. We've gone to minus 16 health. Oof. Yep, let's give this another minute. We're going to have one whole month without any pollution going into the water, and hopefully everything will be fine. Currently, I'm just stockpiling some wastewater here. I didn't want the wastewater to interfere with the testing. And now, at the end of the month, where are we? Minus 35 from water pollution, and then the moment we hit the next month, we've gone to minus 25. We just dropped a whole 10 points, meaning health is now back up a little bit. Everyone is not horrified. Well, that's great. Now let's give it one more month. And we're down to minus 15. We'll give it another 2 months. Pollution will drop out entirely. Pollution is not permanent, and if we don't pollute for the next 2 months, we'll have no more pollution, water pollution anymore. The water pollution basically washes away. Thank you, ocean, for that. This means pollution is also a resource you can spend, and it's renewable. So that means landfill pollution I'm not so sure about, and air pollution I'd have to do more testing on. But that means, for this oil build over here, I'm just thinking dump the sour water into the ocean. We don't care. Even stockpiling, it's not worthwhile. We don't really have to care about the health ramifications too much, and as far as I can see, it barely scratches your unity. So, not an issue. You get more unity from food, electricity, water. That gives you far more, and is far more valuable that way. Now, what's the unity for? Well, that's for renewable resources. You see, I was worried about the oil running out and other resources. Turns out you can get in the map and you can say get this oil rig here. This produces 54 oil every 60 seconds, which just so happens to be the exact amount of crude oil consumed by a distillation stage 1 refinery. So, done. That means you can keep one of those running indefinitely on that oil rig out there. Well, not quite indefinitely. If we check it here, it is finite at 1,040,000, I think. Yep, perfect. Doing some math, that's about 320 hours worth of oil you've got there. I suppose you could play the game that long, but theoretically, if you went over 320 hours, you could drain this dry. As well as that, you can upgrade the oil rig to a level 2 oil rig, at which point you can do this thing where you can jack up the extraction rate, doubling it, and you can even upgrade it some more. So we could drop this down to 180 hours, assuming we decided to run it at full tilt. Now, if you notice up here, the number of workers and the amount of monthly unity consumed goes up as you crank that up, which is important. That means you need more people and more unity to run these outside areas. As well as that, some of these villages come with trade contracts, so you can trade them one type of resource for another, and that would be required for long-term sustainability. When you get your hands on sustainable coal, copper, that kind of stuff, you're going to have to make those, you're going to have to trade for those resources with them forever, and you're going to have to make it indefinite, and to establish those trades costs a bit of unity, but also you have to generate, you have to spend a certain amount per month and per ship. Unity production, it seems, is all down to more food types, more sanitation, housing, things like that. You just, as you tech up, you're going to have to give them more and more stuff, which will cost you, well, more resources to run. For example, this requires maintenance and people to run. Electricity requires just maintenance and people to run as well, which is costing you iron. So you're going to need to get a sustainable sort of iron, copper, and rubber to do all of this. Rubber you get from oil, so that's fine. But it sort of all comes together at that point. You're not trying to build mass factories. What you're trying to build is efficient factories that only use the minimum amount of buildings and maximize the uptime on those buildings. However, if a building is not being used, if it's active and it has all its population assigned, but it's not in active use because it's blocked or it doesn't have enough resources, its maintenance requirements are reduced to 1/3. So it's not like a inactive building is dead weight. It's just inefficient. You want to maximize the use of your buildings as much as possible, but don't go building more than you actually need because that's just wasting money. Simultaneously, you want to develop your Unity so that you can use that to actually develop your trade contracts so that you can get other sources of resources that you're not digging out of the ground, because this stuff will run out eventually, and you got to make sure to secure all of that. And to secure all of that, you got to send your ship out constantly and keep expanding outwards and outwards. And we need to research upgrades for our ship so that we can travel to all of the locations, because so far all I've seen on this map is oil and quartz. So the rest of it would all be trading. There's more research to be done on that front, and this is only a test map. Back to our live map. Let's put all of that knowledge to good use. First thing I'm doing is I'm harvesting these crops and immediately ripping out the farms, namely to do with irrigation. Irrigation makes these things far more efficient, and I need to rotate these so that the irrigation side of them is facing, well, not the center. For example, trying to get piping in there would be an absolute nightmare. I did this all wrong. I didn't know where to place them at the start, so they need to go. Over here is where we're going to be having this cargo ship come in to drop off the oil, so I'm thinking we're going to put our oil refinement right here. We'll have to rip out all of this stuff at some point, but that was inevitable. Because long term, all of our oil is going to be coming from the ocean, and it's going to be brought in by this ship. Then, at the same time, we're going to have to find out, where is our ship? Yeah, it's returning home. The moment that ship comes back, we're going to fuel it up and send it out again. That thing is going to be our lifeline. We need that long term. Okay, farms first, then immediately into the oil. We're just going to arrange the farms along here. 3 farms with irrigation should provide us all the food we need. We're just going to set them up between basically potatoes and vegetable. That's it. We'll run them on that. That should stock this place up. We have food markets level 2, which can store 2 foods. Or, actually, no, these are the ones. We'll upgrade those in a minute, and then they should be able to store 2 foods. We've got half of these on potatoes, half of these on veggies, but once we upgrade them, we can double down on that. Though, honestly, there's no rush on that front. You guys, you are starting on the potatoes now. Excellent. Now we're looking on production. Oh, we need more of the construction level 2, so right now, I have overclocked these 3 machines. So construction parts, which, that's a waste. I need more. I gotta figure out what I'm short of here. It actually tells you we're short of wood and bricks. That should not be happening. There's some beautiful farming going on right there. All of it's getting irrigated, though. I may have to put down a 3rd water pump. This is, yeah, it seems that those things soak up a lot of water, and 2 water pumps is not enough to provide water to our population and to all the farms. But hey, as long as our population is doing fine, the farms can be a little bit starved. As long as we're still getting enough food for everyone, I'm fine. Now, over here, we're going to put down a mine control tower. I want to level this area out so that we can put in a little bit of an oil build right about here. How are you looking on the construction front? You know what? Let's spend some of that quick delivery right there. And boom, get that instantly built. Spending that Unity seems like a good choice. We will get ourselves... Where is it? We are going to produce one of these small excavators, and then we're just going to level this area. We're going to take this whole section out, flatten it down, and then... yeah, then we're just going to turn it into an oil processing facility. And we'll dump all the waste into the ocean. To kick off this whole mess, we're going to put down a coal-powered boiler and a gas-powered boiler. Their purpose is going to be to power this whole mess of things. Well, the steam from it is going to power a bunch of things. Now, once those 2 are completed, it will be time to put on the first distillation stage 1, and we're going to chuck on 2 of these. Now, I'm going to give myself... I was giving myself 3 tiles, but I'm going to give myself 4 tiles between each one of these so that we have a little bit of space to work with for the piping. The piping will get messy. We're going to want to put in a second one right about there, but we're going to want to pause the building of that. Yeah, construction is paused. We'll finish the construction of that later. We just want to know where it is so that when the time comes, we can hook up all the piping and have everything ready to go on that front. But we're only going to start with one of these running, and then we'll wind this down once this thing spins up, and then we can apply the second part of it, assuming we need that much oil draw. But I'm hoping we're going to actually end up using coal for more of our power than we need. And I should probably turn off... No, we will pause a few of these for now. There's no point getting them running. In front of this sucker, we're going to put distillation stage 2. And same again, we're going to put that about 4 tiles. Actually, we can put this 3 tiles away. Yeah, it should be fine. That one can go down there. Second one will go across. Same thing again, we're going to pause this one. We don't want it... Damn, is that lined up? Yep. We don't want this one activating just yet. Then what we need is power. I'd actually like to hook up power now, if at all possible. See, we want to use this steam to run a steam turbine because it generates an absolutely gargantuan amount of power, and I'm sick of running all these diesel generators. Let me see where we're going to squeeze that sucker in. This horrifyingly long-to-build monstrosity is 2 high-pressure steam turbines. combined with 4 power generators and a flywheel. I'm pretty sure I've overbuilt this, but I need more experience with these power generators. I'm pretty sure I only need 2 of these. In fact, yeah, let's cut out a couple of these for now. I don't think we need those 2 there. Instead, what we'll do is we'll just move that that thing 1 step closer. We can always add on more of those turbines if we want. There we go. The reason... Oh, this whole piping thing is a mess. Let's just say the steam from this is going to go through here and prioritize working the oil facilities. Once the oil facilities have got their steam, all the overflow steam will go in here and go into these 2 high-pressure turbines. And then we've done some other flow control here to try and make it all efficient, but that will be... We'll have to wait until it's finished building, which might take a while considering there is a lot of construction Tier 2 pieces required to make this. So we'll let the construction continue, and then once it's finished, we'll spin it up. Actually, we gotta do rubber as well. And some storage containers, but there's only a few bits and bobs left to go. What the... Oh, yeah, this is the fighting thing. It's, we have 2 guns and a bunch of hit points. They have 1 gun and not nearly as much hit points, and they're dead. And we get a sulfur mine. Hooray! Also gives us rubber, copper, and some vehicle parts. Right, so this is basically the exploration part of it. We go out, we find stuff, and occasionally we run into pirates. If you're upgraded better than them, you win. If you're not as upgraded as them, you lose. It's very straightforward that way. How are we looking on the power front? Yeah, we're still waiting on a few pieces to come along before this thing's going to be finished. We have the power setup completed. That is beautiful. We're not turning it on yet, though. We have to put in an output tank for the diesel. I'm going to make it a small tank to start. We'll upgrade that later as needs be. Then we have the output pipes from this. One of the things we're required to do here is produce diesel by converting medium oil, burn excess light oil in a flare, burn excess heavy oil in a flare. So all the light and heavy oil is coming down here to this pipe balancer, and then we're going to flare it off just to start. Then we're going to start piping it into the gas boiler to actually burn it all off. You know what, I'm going to leave all those things selected, though realistically all we need is heavy oil and light oil. The rest of it can be unselected. We might pump more in there later. Now, with that completed, what I would like to do is... Oh, and we've also got the waste. All the wastewater, the heavy or sour water, whatever, that's all being automatically just dumped over here and dumped into the ocean. Oh, God. You know, how's everyone looking on the health front? A little bit of water pollution. Everyone's fine. Everyone's just dandy. Plus 21 on the health, even with all that nasty water floating around the place. Easy peasy. All right, what was the next bit? And it's done. We've got this cargo ship out here popping out to the oil rig. It grabs oil, it brings it back here. It gets pumped into this pipe through a couple of fluid storages, just so we have a stockpile here on hand. It seems like a smart plan. We can also add on a few more storages as we go, or maybe 10, who knows. Then all of that comes over here and feeds into this distillation unit through a pipe that kind of snakes all the way through there. Anyway, we need to unpause this, which starts steam production. Now, this is coal-powered steam production, but whatever, it's fine. That steam comes through here and gets sent out this pipe and gets dumped into... Oh my god, why is there no steam going into that thing? I may have forgotten to put in a few pipes here. I could have sworn I had, but there's always something you'll forget. Pipe is in, and then we can... You, come here. Then you can just click on it and give me a quick delivery. We want that instant pipes. There you go. Nice. Then that gives it the steam, that gives it the medium oil. The medium oil gets spit out the front right here. So that medium oil goes straight across into distillation stage 2, where it also gets steam, and the steam is hooked up, I think. Yep, looks like the steam is making its way through. So, yep, gets the medium oil, gets the steam, gives us the diesel and the light oil. Diesel goes right out of this pipe and gets dumped into this tank, which is now going to be our new diesel supply. This thing here is also going to dump out some sour water and heavy oil. Sour water, yeah, it just gets dumped into the ocean. Delicious. And the heavy oil is going to come right back here and get flared off through this flare stack. We have to burn excess heavy oil and burn excess light oil. Once they hit a certain amount, we will switch that to burning it off in the gas boiler. We'll get back to that in a second. We're almost done on all the burn-offs. Come on. And done. We got 2 of them, actually. So, we've finished the advanced diesel, distillation stage 1 and 2, all that stuff, and it actually gives us some construction parts. We even got some construction parts for discover cargo ship, already done. Repair oil rig, already done. Research cargo built, have your cargo ship import cool oil. We've actually done all of that already. Perfect. Then what we can do is this. Let's come down here. Give me one of the pipe 2s. Perfect. We'll have a quick delivery on that. Then what we can do is we can sever this sucker. We don't need that anymore. Alright, so here's what happens. All of that light oil and the heavy oil gets dumped in here. It might take a second before we see any show up. Oh, wait, there it is. Perfect. Has not started producing steam yet. I think there's a certain amount it requires. It requires 6 light oil or 9, or 6 heavy oil or 9 light oil. Right. Now that produces steam. That steam is going to come down here. It's going to come through this pipe. This thing only produces 48 steam, so we're using level 1 pipes. It comes down to this intersection. And I know, this is a dumb intersection, but the gas boiler over here, that coal one, that one is deprioritized in here. So the coal one, it's not priority. The gas one is. We want to make sure all that heavy and light oil gets cleared out. So all the steam pressure from that immediately gets stuck out this line here, which feeds back into all of our oil stuff. So all of the steam from that will get prioritized out there. If it can't go out there, it will get prioritized over here into our high pressure steam turbines to generate electricity. Which, wow, okay. We got some electricity going on. We've got one set up to just go all the time. Its only purpose is to spin. This one over here is set to auto balance. It's supposed to even it out depending on how much steam we got coming through. Should work out just fine is the theory. I got to do more playing around with this, but that is... wow, that's a lot of power. We are now generating 4.83. I might want to stick on another 1 or 2 of these thingies. You know what? You can go on there. Yeah, build me one of those. We'll see how it goes. It goes great. This thing is providing all the power for our entire base. We have the potential for, like, these 2 alone. Each one of these can do 2 megawatts. Those old diesel generators could do 800 kilowatts. So 2 of these combined can do 4 megawatts of power. And that coal generator, or that coal boiler, can give us the required steam pressure to do that. So this thing can easily go up to 4 kilowatts of power. And with the extra oil coming from over here, we could go burst a little bit above that. But not worried, we don't really need to do that just yet. That's oil. That's oil just absolutely smashed. We should have plenty of oil coming in. And now what we can do is we can unpause these. We can complete the construction of those 2. And what that'll do is basically double up on the amount of oil we can potentially flash produce as we need it. We don't need it right now, so I'll probably pause those buildings once they're completed and just keep them there ready to go. This thing over here, once it's empty, steams away and it will come back later. This can be upgraded for how much? Actually, yeah, totally. We will upgrade that. Thank you. Quick delivery? Yeah, sure, why not? Alright, what happens when we upgrade this thing? Oh, yeah, I know what this is. It's making it longer so that we can carry more cargo. This, by lengthening this cargo section, we've actually lengthened the ship as well. So that means we can grab 2 more of these. Actually, what's the upgraded version? Oh, yeah, we can afford those. Oh, and here it is already. What? Right. Ooh. That's just double the cargo capacity. Well, that makes things simpler. We'll reduce the ship speed to save on travel time. And then what we're going to do is hook up some piping here as well. You can go up to there, and we'll hook you up to that section. And why the hell did that not connect? Done. That should handily sort oil for the foreseeable future. Now, one thing. We can't run both of these simultaneously. Reason being, they take 54 oil apiece, and the amount of oil we get from that place out here is not enough. It only gives us 54 oil. So, we're going to have to keep an eye on this, and if these start to go down, we'll set up an alert on this. Notify me if this goes below 75%. Actually, you know what? Notify me if... Actually, notify me if this goes below 50%, let's say. If that goes below 50%, well, keep an eye out. Okay, perfect. That takes care of power and oil. But one thing, can this thing burn diesel? That's a pity. If this thing could burn diesel, it'd be kind of fun. You could route the diesel from the front into the back to actually power, well, generate enormous amounts of power. With all of that done, I think we can deconstruct a bunch of this gunk that we no longer need. Oh, and we're pumping water from all the way over here to actually provide water to this system. Seems to be keeping going just fine. Now we just need to rip out, well, a whole bunch of this. This has all been done wrong. Of course it's been done wrong, but we can do it better. We can improve it. Being I'd like to say just a tiny bit wiser now. I think what we should do is get rid of all of this junk these stockpiles we've been leaving around the place. They need to go. The soil I'm keeping, I want to use the soil to make farms later. But everything else is going to be dumped over here. We're going to make ourselves a nice dumping area where we can chuck all of the garbage and use that to reclaim land from the ocean. It's slow, but we have a whole bunch of rubbish we don't need anymore. Ooh, and now we've got this new vehicle Mark II things. Trucks. Large industrial truck with a max capacity of 60. It can go under transports if they're at a height of 2 or higher. Ah, that's 3 times the actual carry capacity. That is excellent. Ooh, regular excavator. Fuel consumption 2.3, fuel consumption 1. Right. What I'm seeing here is this thing has 0.4 fuel consumption, this has 1.1, but it carries 3 times as much. So it should be 1.2 fuel consumption to be completely even. This thing has double the actual digging capacity. It actually costs 2.3, or it's like 130% more expensive in fuel. Huh. I presume the fact that it can dig twice as fast is just too powerful that way. Anyway, not going to worry about that for a bit. Oh, our ship is back. Good Lord, that thing... every time I look around, that thing's returned to port, and I keep having to go finding what's the next place to send it. 628, no, 800. We got any 500s left? We got a few 500s over here. We'll go check those out and see if we can't find what we're looking for. Thing is, we have been researching stuff down here. We've managed to get our hands on wheat, which allowed us to do wheat research. We can now make bread. We've also got our hands on, what was it? I think it was corn farming, so we can do corn farming as well. That's queued up. And we can get organic fertilizer, which we're not going to use. What I want to do is reorganize all of our production to do Construction Mark III. We are doing Construction Mark I, but I didn't use enough transport belts. I did not have things optimized at all. This whole thing... it looks neat, but it's an absolute abomination in terms of efficiency. Yeah, I think I want to do it over here. What are we looking like in terms of ground? Oh yeah, flat and level. Might want to change the tree harvesting to over here so we can maybe make ourselves a little bit more space. So I went onto the test map and I thought, you know what, let's just put something down, nice, quick, simple, figure out a nice, easy way to do it. And of course then it immediately spiraled right out of control, because of course it did, because it's captain of industry. Alright, okay. Here's the problems you immediately run into. Like, just take these 4 things here. These 4 metal casters here. They put out 48 iron bars. But then I'm like, okay, so I'll put that into these machines and I'll make some construction parts. We need probably 4 construction parts thing. That's the main limiting factor in expanding our factory right now, is construction parts. And we're going to want 4 of them, because we're going to want to take at least 2 of them and put them into construction parts level 2. Probably 4 of them to actually do construction parts 2. So we have 2 construction parts level 2. That way we can take 1 of those and put them into construction parts level 3. However, then I immediately ran into a problem. Well, you need concrete blocks for that, and concrete slabs, you need 12 of them for each factory. And one of these concrete mixers only produces 12 concrete slabs, so you need at least 2 of these just to run 2 factories. So we'll need 4 of these if we want to run 4 of them. That means we're going to need more than 1 crusher, because a crusher only produces 24 crushed slag, which gives us 9, which is 18, which means you need 1.5 of these to produce enough slag to run this many concrete places. We also need to get sand in, of course, and cement. Cement comes out of this thing, and it produces 3 every 60 seconds, which means we'll need at least 1.5 of these to... oh my god. And then you start thinking, well, we're going to need electronics as well. So you're going to need your electronics to go with the construction parts to make construction parts level 2. Easy peasy. You just chuck them in here. Then you need your smelters. Then you need your electrolysis things. Then you make them into electronics parts. And then you combine them together and you'll be able to get construction parts level 2, which then brings us on to construction part level 3, which just requires steel, which honestly is so much simpler. So I abandoned that plan. That was a crazy plan. And switched to a simpler plan. Basically, you have 2 concrete mixers. Then you'd have 2 level 1 construction parts, 2 level 2s, and 2 level 3s. And the thing about this is, we can double our production. And, well, actually, I should probably go over the numbers here. This would give us 24 construction parts level 2, or level 1. However, we then have to spend all of those to make 12 construction parts level 2, as in half, and then we'd end up with 6 construction parts level 3. And if we spent any of the... it's not perfect, but I think this is the preferred way of doing it. Then what you can do is you can upgrade these to the Mark II variants. Concrete Mixer Mark II will double your production capacity, so you'll be able to make 24 concrete blocks, 24 construction parts, 12 construction parts level 2, and 6 construction parts level 3. However, that would cost 100 construction parts. To upgrade all of these would cost 100 construction parts level 2. And assuming you had built all of this out, and you had construction parts level 3, and you're producing 6 of them every 60 seconds, it would take you 16.5 minutes roughly of in-game time on normal speed. On triple speed, it would take 5.5 minutes, and you would be able to increase your production by 50%, and then like 3 or 4 minutes later at maximum speed, you'd be able to double it again. So you'd be looking at about 2.75 minutes to make 60 seconds at normal speed to make 12 construction parts level 3. Okay. But I think that's probably the same thing, because it keeps your maintenance costs at an actual reasonable level. Well, then I realized it's Friday, it's the end of the episode, and I'm not going to get to use any of this because this is my last episode. So even building this, I won't even get any use out of it. And that right there is the kind of infrastructure it takes to support those 8 buildings. Yeah, those 8 buildings we started with. Now, we could shave off half of this copper stuff, and we could shave off half the steel stuff, but the rest is all necessary. That is kind of mental. Just to support these buildings, we needed to produce all of that. Oh, well, the problem there is, though, we've got some excess copper that we need to sink into even more electronics. We actually have more electronics than we need. We need some way to siphon it off. We're producing more steel than we need. We need to siphon some of that off, probably into research. Oh, some of the electronics is going to have to go into maintenance. We need to do some extra iron just so that we could get some mechanical parts for maintenance. In fact, when it comes down to production, outside of, say, science and stuff like that, the only things you definitely need to produce are electronics, so that you can do maintenance and you can produce construction parts. Mechanical parts, just so you can actually produce construction parts. Actually, no, you don't even need those for construction parts. They're entirely for just maintenance. Then you're going to need bricks, concrete slabs, wood, iron, and steel. That's about it. So electronics, concrete, wood, iron, and steel, and that gets you all the construction parts up to level 3. The only thing you need vehicle parts for is for the odd truck you build, so not really a huge thing. And then you've got the mechanical parts and electronics. You're going to need that for lab equipment, but they'd be sort of bonuses you'd throw on top and the excess you would dump into research. And once you hit this point, you'd have to wait about 5.55 minutes, but, well, we're not going to wait that long. What you can do is you can then upgrade this, that becomes layer 2, you can upgrade this, that becomes layer 2, upgrade this, and... No, I don't think we can upgrade that. You would then, of course, also have to upgrade a few of the back pieces. I don't think... Will that support it? 24. No, we'd need another kiln, or we need to get the next layer of kiln. Oh, my God. You can... Nope. Blast furnace still would not be able to get that. So, even if we did upgrade all of those along the way, it wouldn't actually fix... Well, it might fix a few problems. 18 iron bars plus 9. We're getting 24 iron bars out of this, so it'd almost even that production out. And... yeah, no, that might... We might be able to support that, but upgrading the other half would be pointless until you can increase your crusher and the rotary kiln, both of which are research that is further down the tech tree. That's just mean. From what I can see here, to actually take advantage of those new techs, this is research lab level 3. This is where the tech was where we left off. We would have to research all the way up to advanced smelting over here and a crusher large. That's a fair bit down the tech tree. Yellow and red construction technology. Yeah, it's very doable. Not that bad, I suppose. So what are my impressions of Captain of Industry? Okay, mildly addictive. It's got that same feel of Factorio and Satisfactory when you start playing it. You want to figure out how all the machines tie together. If I was doing this again, I would definitely focus on just the construction parts. The construction part are going to be your biggest bottleneck. These things along here, one feeds into the other. I would probably put some sort of storage unit in between each one of those, and then you upgrade them as you go along to increase capacity. And then even the final upgrade, I was just checking the research there, the one to go to construction level 4, which is the last construction upgrade. Where is it? Ah, here. This one. This requires electronics level 2, and electronics level 2, you would sort of feed that on as its own separate thing. So it would basically be feeding these into another machine one step forward. Then you'd probably have another little factory over here to produce the necessary parts to feed onto it. And then for science, I would probably make just a separate factory. This thing should be entirely dedicated towards your construction parts, and then make sure your game's nice and stable so you can play it at high speed. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting forever for construction parts to come along. There is only one thing missing from a game like this, and it's, I only ever really experience it in games like, say, Oxygen Included, RimWorld, Dwarf Fortress. It's that there's no unexpected things you can do. Wait, that's the wrong term. best I can describe it is, say, let's take the sour water you get out of your oil refineries. That sour water there, there's only a certain amount of things you can do with it, and you can look it up. You take that sour water, and if you want to dispose of it, you either put it into a sour water stripper, or you could dump it into the ocean. That's it. I can't take that sour water, dump it in with a bunch of, mix it in with some pipes with some high pressure steam, turn it into gas, and leave behind some leftover product that I can then dispose of in some other way. If you want to do something in this game, there is a prescribed method. There might be multiple ways of doing it, but it's a prescribed method. There's no random stuff you can do. You can't dig down until you hit the magma, so to speak. Not necessarily a bad thing. It definitely leads to a tighter, more controlled gaming experience, and I have no complaints on that front. This game is beautifully well designed, the animations are awesome. And if I had the spare time, I would definitely sink hundreds of hours into it, just trying to figure out how to optimize things all along the way. But I gotta roll the dice. Alright, full disclosure, I rolled Lords and Villains, but I removed it on the grounds that it was not looking too good on the Steam page in terms of recent reviews and what I've seen on it, so I decided to take it out because it didn't look like it was going to suit. Next up we got I want to say Alvarian, but it doesn't have an L in it. I'm definitely getting a blocky space theme with this one. What are you? Oh, that's... I'm betting you build your own ships. That is... Oh my god, it makes the graphics in X4 look amazing. Ooh, it makes the graphics in X2 look amazing. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Right. This is going to be, one of those games. Oh no! Look at all of these numbers over here. Yes, yes. Perfect, perfect. Space mining. Well, great. Well, yeah, this really looks like X4, but just with much more simplistic graphics, and probably single ship? Yeah, I'm gonna guess single ship. Alright, that's enough of that. Oh, they actually have shields in this, and numbers that fly off the ships when you shoot them. Reviews, very positive, lots of recent ones and lots of overall ones. We'll give this one a shot. And so ends our journey with Captain of Industry and its funny little mechanics. Probably not the most entertaining thing to watch, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Next up, I suppose, weird, blocky space creatures. I hope you enjoyed. Good luck.